good evening and welcome to the Town Hall Get to Know broadcast. I want to welcome all of our viewers this evening. We are glad that you're here. You might wonder why I'm wearing my bathrobe. Well, that's because my guest tonight, his show is Bathrobe Moment, so I figured I would give him a tribute and I would be wearing my bathrobe. Well, at least we'll start with the bathrobe for sure. So we have a wonderful guest. I'm so pleased to bring him on tonight. He has a wonderful show that is called Bathrobe Moments. I've actually been honored to be a guest on that show. And it is wonderful in the mornings. You just want to join him at 8 o'clock Central Time. Let me tell you a little bit about Loren Michaels-Harris. You may or may not know of him. He's a pretty popular guy out there. He's been doing a lot of dynamic stuff. He is a former foster child, and he strives to inspire and uplift people. And that's what this show is all about, influential people from around the world. He happens to be residing in Chicago, and that these people are successful and they're making a positive impact in their communities. And that's what Loren Michaels-Harris does. And he has had a life of challenge for sure, but he just wants to let people know that when life is full of challenges, and that's what we've named this show this evening, challenge provides opportunity. It's our challenges, he says, that provide us our greatest opportunities for growth and learning. As a mentor of Breakthrough Coach, that's his book, and a friend, Michaels-Harris believes that we're all part of the ripple effect, and that his duty in his story is to tell his story and create that ripple effect around the globe. And he is doing this. To achieve it, he set out in 2020 to speak on stage around the country and help desperate people break through their various, quote, glass ceilings of their lives. And he explains that his goal in life is to expose as many people as he possibly can to a systematic approach that he has that has worked for him and provided a template for him to follow and then to share with others. That template provided him with a life that only before he dreamed about having. And it's an amazing thing how when you put an intention, you can actually achieve your dreams and goals. And that's what we share here. And we want you to be inspired and know that even in dark times, there is a light, and it takes a lot of work, and we'll be talking about that. And you can achieve really anything that you want to, and that's what we're going to be talking about with Michael Harris this evening. I call him Loren. And so, without further ado, I'll bring him on. He's got some great accomplishments. He's got a song out right now, as well as a Goldcast video that's had over like 7 million views. So we're going to have him talk about that. He's a motivational speaker, a great guy, and here he is. Welcome, Loren.
Thanks, Stephen. How are you?
I am doing well. Thank you so very much for honoring us this evening on this show. We certainly
Glad to
appreciate
be
that.
here. Merry Christmas.
Yes, Merry Christmas to you as well. I wore the bathrobe. I figured I'd do that for you.
Yeah, it looks great. But how come your living room doesn't have any Christmas stuff in it?
No Christmas stuff in this living room. It does out there in the other living room.
Yeah, you have multiple living rooms. I get it. How are you? How's everything? It's been a great year, hasn't it?
It has been a wonderful year. I'm certainly pleased with it. It's had its ups and its downs. But the difficult times were those challenging times, like you talk about.
Oh yeah.
But I'm just really pleased with this year. I am. How
I am
about
too.
yourself?
Yeah, I am. I mean, I learned a lot this year that I couldn't have learned any other way, had not we all been sequestered underneath this umbrella known as the pandemic. So it taught me a lot about myself. About spending quality time with myself. I had actually been grooming myself, if you will, to do that, to be better at that for about 6 months prior to COVID. And then when COVID hit, I understood exactly why that entry point took place 6 months before, where that blessing was born into becoming, because it really helped me not panic during all phases of the pandemic, and it taught me a lot about my own faith and what is greater. So yeah, great year.
And it has been a challenging year for just about everybody. I mean,
So
it's a
many.
whole new way of doing life for a lot of people.
Hmm.
A lot of people haven't had like you had a whole schedule set to go out there, be on stage.
Oh yeah.
Maybe you can talk about how you adapted to that change.
It was like, I like my stuff. That's how I adapted. I didn't want to, lose anything. But
Right.
immediately, see, that's the great thing about purpose. When you truly, truly believe in purpose, when things like what happened with COVID, and I had this was in March when, no, actually February was my last time on stage. It was in, where was that? New Jersey. I was in New
Mhm.
Jersey, and then a couple weeks after that gig, all my gigs started falling off. I had a TED Talk in Munich, Germany, scheduled, and stuff all the way through November. And the stuff in November started falling off first because those were government um, gigs. And so I was
Mm.
like, oh, they know something. How come they're
Right.
canceling before everybody else? Right. So anyway, what it did was it forced me to look inside the junk drawers of my life, if you will, and see where else there was something of value that helped do the same thing that speaking on stages did. And I was pleasantly surprised and relieved when I found several things in there that I had just never really thought I was that good at. Just like speaking was before I opened my mouth that one night and spoke, which eventually turned into the broadcast video, which actually is now over 20 million views. I need to
Wow.
update that resume or that bio. So,
Okay.
but again, it's the same. It's the same thing as that's the thing about truth. It never changes on us, and
Right.
it just takes us where we're supposed to be when we're supposed to be there. So I did. I got into some other things. The show was picked up by E360
Yeah.
when they came out. Which you are, of course, a member of the team.
Yes.
Back in
Part of the family.
January. Yeah, part of the family,
Yeah.
and three of us were chosen to beta test it for 3 months before the rest of everybody was invited in, and so it was a great opportunity. And then was brought aboard as an associate producer with the network, which is just one of the most rewarding experiences I think I've ever had. Working with so many creative people, so much to offer through their messages, their stories, their platforms. It's just a godsend. It's just wonderful. I couldn't be happier. So.
Well, that's a little bit different angle than like myself. It's just a host. You're producers. You're helping people with their shows. You're helping them create content as well.
Mhm.
And that's pretty exciting. And I just gotta say, you make some great stuff. I'll tell you. I
Oh,
need to
thanks,
take a
David.
few lessons from you.
I appreciate that. Hit the bell on that. Thank you.
Well, it's very, very awesome. You've been doing this bathrobe moment show for quite a number of years, have you not?
Yeah, January
Yeah.
4th, when we come back from hiatus. We're on hiatus right now. They're showing reruns, but when
Yes.
we come back in January, it'll be the beginning of season 5. And a season for me
Wow.
is a full calendar year, so it's the 5th year.
Yeah.
Um, four, three were on Facebook. This last one was on E360, and hopefully
Right.
many more. Many more.
Yes.
I just love it, and congratulations to you too on
Oh,
your show, the Lawn Foundation, and what you're doing. I've been
yeah.
keeping an eye on it, and I'm very pleased with what I see. So, kudos,
Well,
hats off to you.
yeah. Well, thank you very much. It really has evolved, and that was an intention. Well, it started just simply doing the Facebook thing,
Hmm.
in the mornings, doing the sunrise
I
daybreakers,
remember
and
those.
it
It was
just
like five
evolved.
o'clock for me. And I bet you the thing about it was I loved it because it wasn't crowded. At 5 o'clock
Right.
in the morning, your thing would pop up and it wouldn't be crowded, it'd be perfect. And it was always so picturesque and so, nature based,
Yes,
which
it
I,
is nature based. And so that's where the LWN Life with Nature came from. LWN actually is the acronym for Life with Nature. You can look that up even.
oh,
I'm
I
sure
thought
you
you
can.
actually had a lawn service. No,
No, lawn
kidding.
service.
I'm
No,
kidding. Get
no,
it?
but I'll tell
Elder
you what, I don't know
lawn,
why, but I'll change that. Is
lawn
that yeah, when
foundation.
you go in there sometimes it will come up LOWN or LAWN.
Really?
But the fact is that if you put LWN like FO, you'll pull up LWN Foundation, and I command about 2 or 3 pages of Google when you on the right
Oh,
one.
well, there you
But the
go.
bottom line is that it is really not what it's about is it's about empowering people. It's about helping people. That's what I finally decided, and that's what you talk about is finding your purpose.
Yes.
And so I did. And it all started with connection to nature and connection to source and then connection to the community. And so it's just evolved. And I'm just proud and blessed and glad to
You
be
should
part of
be.
that 360 family. Yeah. So fantastic year. As a matter of fact, come January, we'll be celebrating 1 year. It's a nonprofit foundation. I'm hoping any day
Yay.
here to have that 501c3,
There you go.
which will be a good thing for us. But you've done a lot of stuff. I was reading through that bio. You were awarded here, as I recall, by the United Nations, nonetheless, the
Hmm.
2019 GEM Award.
Yeah.
Maybe you can share with our viewers about that. That's pretty exciting stuff, Loren.
Yeah. It was caught me off guard, as most things that pop up like that in my life. I don't, because that's the thing. When you're just getting up and you're doing what you're doing, half the time you feel no one's really watching, or you know how that feels.
Sure.
And the Jim Award, we got that because I really have to thank Ken Rochon. Ken Rochon, he does the Keep Smiling books, and
Oh,
I have a book or two. I think he just told me I was in the sixth time I'm in a book of his. And
wow.
he brought this woman from the United Nations to our Power of We Symposium in Atlanta 2 years ago, and and this is something about Ken Rochon. He flew in to Atlanta on his way somewhere else, got a car, went and picked this lady up, brought her to the event, introduced her to me, got back in the car, and went back to the airport and went to where he was originally headed. And he wanted to deliver her to the event for the experience. And anyway, she is the woman who nominated the Power of We Symposium, and and the thing is, the award has my name on it, but I really wanted them. I tried to get them to change it to the Power of We Symposium, but they were like, no, this is for the people behind the movements, and it stands for the Global Empowerment Movement Award, the Jim Award. So
Right.
it really was a true honor. But let me tell you how the Power of We came about, which is
Yeah.
why that award means so much to us. Is I had my very first event that I did myself was um, called the Authority Maker Bootcamp. It was in Las Vegas, and I partnered with some marketers, online marketers. And that was my very first event of my own. I'd only been on Cervex's stage, and I think Habitat Warrior. I'd been on
Mhm.
their stage, and so I was like, well, I like these events. I think I'm going to try one. So I don't want to go out alone. And I hadn't done the Power of We yet, of course, because you're going to find out why. So anyway, um, we went, and I learned a lot about, and I'm just keeping it real. We learned nothing from Jim and Tammy Faye Baker. Just because you're sitting on a stage with the Bible and a cross and crying and mascara's running everywhere doesn't mean that you are truly, truly who you say you are. And I'm just keeping it real. I can't help it. And people don't want you to talk about, I'm not saying names and all that, but I'm
Right.
speaking to the experience. And there were
Yeah.
actually people there who all they were, and because this was a pay to play, and I didn't handle that
Yeah.
because the person I partnered with, it was in their backyard. Las Vegas is where they were based. And
Right.
so I just let them handle all that and showed up and brought my people and whatnot. And I just saw some things that just broke my heart,
Yeah.
hurt my spirit, that sort of
Oh,
thing. And Brian, my husband and I were on the plane at McCarran Airport ready to come back to Chicago. And
yeah.
I just could not let it go. I didn't like the way I felt from being a part of something like that, where people
Mhm.
were qualifying people by how much money they had.
Mhm.
Don't waste your time with her. She doesn't got a penny. She's not going to buy your program or whatever. I didn't know that that's what happened on some stages behind stage. And I can't say it happens to all of them, but it did happen
No.
at my event.
Yeah.
So when I got on the plane, told Brian, I said, I'm going under the headset because I need to convene with God. I need an emergency meeting. He goes, what's wrong? I said, I need this funky taste from this experience removed from my mouth. So I'm about to go in and ask God for a mouthful of spiritual Listerine to switch around. And,
Beautiful.
and, and that's what I did. I said, I need whatever it's going to take to get this taste out of my mouth. I don't ever want this bitter taste again. And when we landed in Chicago, I kid you not, I took my headset off and I turned to Brian. I said, he gave it to me. He goes, what? He'd forgotten. And I said, remember I said I was going to go in and ask for that mouthful of spiritual Listerine? He goes, yeah. I said, well, I just finished swishing. And what I spit out is going to be called Power of We Symposium. The very next day, I went to my friend in downtown Chicago, Logan Square, Terrace Stand. The owner of the Stand Mansion found a date 6 months away, put the $5,000 down, took it off the market, and it forced me because I knew if I did that, I wasn't gonna not do it. So I went the very next day because it was so strong in my mind. And
Yes.
then to have only done two of them, and it was at the second one that this woman saw us and nominated us for the United Nations Award, and we got it. So
Wow.
it just goes to show you how, you find what you're seeking, you know.
Well, you hit on a couple major points that I know that that's why we're connected too as well. I mean, we connected spiritually, and I think I've known you for maybe a couple years, or certainly a year and a half, or
Hmm.
closing in on two, something like that. But the point is that I love your love of God. Number one, of course, that's really important to me.
Hmm.
And I love your derby too, by the way. That's really
Oh, my
cool.
fedora, thank you.
If I known you were wearing the derby, I'd have left the bathrobe off and I put my derby on.
That's okay. It's nice to see a bathrobe on someone else for a change.
There we go. See,
Because
I thought
people
that
think
I
I
thought
look
you
at
might
it.
like that, so I
You're
figured I
right.
would do that in tribute for you because
Sure.
I love that
I
show.
love
It's a
it. Thank you.
fantastic show. But the
Thank you.
other thing is that you decided to help inner city at risk kids, and it
Now, I want to
isn't
clarify. It's not
okay.
just inner city. That's just
Okay.
happens to be where we started. But
Okay.
the Power We Symposium, it says for at-risk youth, and
Yes.
it's just I feel that way about that time. I use titles so I can disassemble them. So
Okay.
at-risk youth, every risk is at every youth is at risk. When we
These
say
days,
special needs
for real.
kids, every kid is special and every kid has needs. You
Right.
see what I'm saying? So I use them so I can dismantle them in front of the believers. And I believe I'm a big champion of getting in there and exposing words and phrases that deceive us.
Sure.
There's
You're
tons of them.
right. Yes, and so and I knew that from the first time that I met you. You are, you say what you think, and you mean what you say, and you're honest and transparent, and that's a
Yeah.
beautiful trait. A lot of people won't do that. They're afraid of who they might offend, or trying to be politically correct. And it's not about that. It's just about truth, right?
That's exactly right. And Steve, it's funny you say that. Funny. Because even when you and I met,
Yes.
I the way that I presented things, because I was fighting not the person, but that force field I could feel behind there. I think some people call it motive, some people, whatever it is. I rely on my internal GPS system for all
Yes.
things. I really, truly do that. And some days I'm better at it of connecting with it than others, but that is what I get up and go for every day. But on the front end, I that's how I found out. I found out through speaking my truth that it's not how you and what you say to people. In many cases, it's how you say it to people. And I wasn't very good at that. I wasn't very good at it at all. Um, um, oh, hi, Stephanie. Yeah, it's in Logan Square, Stan Mansion. Nice to meet you, neighbor. Won't you be
Yeah.
my neighbor? So,
Stephanie's awesome. We
yeah,
did. She was on my show just the other day.
I
She's a
have to go back
great.
and catch the replay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. She's
you know.
awesome.
So, Stephen, you remember even when you and I met, just keeping it real, how
Yeah.
I was
Let's keep it
kind of like
real.
in the gut punch, boom, 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 and
Yeah.
that's changed. That's
Yeah.
changed over the last couple of years in my world, and I'm so grateful. My husband reminds me all the time because I used to. It was Jason Cisneros who took me over the finish
Yes.
line, where I left that part behind because you have
Mhm.
to drop something off in order to make room to pick something new up. And he told me one day on a phone call, he says, "You get so frustrated, Loren. Don't you know that when when you're so blessed, look how many people you get access into their hearts and minds, and that's the greatest access ever afforded man." And he goes, you have to move through this space you're in every space you encounter, every situation, and remember you are the pilot of the plane. And
Right.
if everything is turbulent and everybody on the plane screaming and the oxygen masks are dropping, out of all the chaos, one person needs to remain calm for the safety of everyone aboard, and that's the
Right.
pilot. And that
Yes.
started, and then he said, "So what do you think you need to do?" And I said, "Well, I always let people push my buttons. He goes, so what are you doing about that? And I said, well, I don't know because I maybe stop exposing the buttons. He goes, it's not about exposing them. He goes,
Yeah.
if you know people are pushing your buttons, move the button. They can't push what they can't find. And so that really resonated with me. And I started working, I started praying about it. And
Right.
I had a real big health scare over the last year for myself in this during COVID, where let me tell you something. When when a doctor tells you, are you calls you and says, "Are you busy?" and you say, "Well, what's up? Hold on, I can put my coaching client on mute for a second." Well,
Right.
it's almost time for me to go home, but I'd be willing to meet you someplace later. I'm like, hold on a second.
Uh-oh.
Where do you? So let's just say, and work through it. But when you're in it and you don't know, it's very real. It's as if it happened, as if it's the worst case. You really look
Yeah.
at everything you're doing and how
Yes.
you're doing it. And the first stop on that tour, that home and garden tour of all the shit you need to change, Lauren, the number one stop for me was that spirit
Yes.
in which you convey anything. And
Well,
I'm just grateful that God took that away, and I'm really grateful.
yes, I am
I didn't
too.
see
I
it.
am
I
too.
didn't see it at all.
And that's just another example of how God can he can achieve anything.
Anything.
Yeah, anything is possible in
Mm,
God's
ringing the
world.
bell.
And I just want to mention to our viewers too, of course, I actually came across Loren a couple years ago, and it was where they were doing a competition, and that was called the Next Impactor.
Oh,
And
yeah.
he was a big part of that. You were the Next Impactor, as I recall.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Still am. Season
um,
2 is coming up next year.
yes, and I just have to tell you and say thank you because that definitely spurred me on when I started hearing the
That's
people
right.
that were competing for that.
Mhm.
It was like, wow, yeah, I want to be like them too.
Yeah.
Like Tamara and like Charles Prince and
Aw,
Christopher Kaysen and all these others, and I met so many
the
great
Keithlings,
people.
Misty Lane,
Misty and
Teresa
yes,
Snyder.
and all these people have been on my
Mhm,
show as well, and I'm just so,
mhm.
like, blessed because of that, because I don't know about you, but what I find is that and you have a ton of guests, and you got some high power people that come across your show. Now, I feel like this is a learning experience for me so that
Right.
I can learn and grow from them because I decided, hey, I want to be around people like you, Lauren, and others that are successful and that are showing others, hey, you know what? You can do anything, and this is, and you're a coach. You're a
I
coach.
am. And do you remember, speaking coming from the coaching stance, that I'm
Yes,
sitting in that chair, you just put me in that chair. Do you remember what I do? It just hit me. I remember what it was that you and I were butting on when we first met.
we did.
You know what it
I was
was?
gonna say we butted heads at first. We did.
Excuse me, I'll tell you what it was.
Okay,
And I've
tell
seen
me.
you grow so
Remind me.
far past it. You were like so many who had been burned, had been betrayed. So you thought you had a permanent eyebrow of suspicion raised at every opportunity to
Yeah.
protect yourself because you've been hurt before. And so many of us have that. And I'm going to tell you something. This is for everybody out there that deals with that, because what we do is we remove ourselves from a lot of opportunities. The opportunity doesn't leave us. We remove ourselves from the opportunity when we go in with an eyebrow of suspicion. Because the
Yeah.
thing about it is, if the truth is behind the opportunity, the truth is the only thing in the universe that has never changed and will never
Right.
change on us. So, how do you know if behind the door of opportunity lies the golden thread, that golden lasso of purpose that is connected to the creator? The truth. How do you know? Well, you stop at the threshold. And before you step over, because you can see in, before you
Mhm.
step over, you take a look at the opportunity from top to bottom, bottom to top, side to side, corner to corner, and corner to corner. Because when you create that diagram where you look in all directions, you are acknowledging what you believe to be greater than yourself, which you know is the beginning, the middle, and the end, the first and the last, the alpha, the omega.
Mhm.
And now when you do that, you look down. When I did that for the very first time, and I do it every day, multiple times now, from the smallest decision to the greatest decision, because there are only two decisions: the one I'm going to make and the one I did not make. And
Right.
so I used to be afraid of the question marks inside of opportunities, the raised eyebrow. Is it
Yes.
this? Is it that? Is it the what if this? Am I that? Are they this? And instead of following that internal GPS system, which we all were given before from the moment of conception, and even before, if you believe in past life. So the thing was, the question mark. When I did that, when I did it in all directions, I looked in front of me, and there was a question mark, and it wasn't. It didn't feel intimidating. It wasn't breathing hot air on me. It didn't make me. It didn't shut everything in or down. It made everything stand up and go out like the truth does. Life, when a person is brought back from, say, a near drowning, their body goes, when they come back. Everything. When a person is brought back with the paddles, where does the spike go on the monitor? It goes up first. Everything goes up. So when you go up, that's life. That's true. And I'm going to tell you, I looked at the question mark, and everything was elevated in my spirit, because now I know that when I choose a decision, one or the other, I look for the question mark. If I don't see the question mark in the opportunity, I know God's not in it, because who knows all the answers? That's why
Yeah.
he looks like a question mark to me, because
Well, you've
right?
got a serious intuition. I'll tell you that. I
We
know
all
that you do.
do.
Yeah.
We
Well,
we
we
all
do, and you're right. But see, that's an awareness level, is
do.
what that is. And it
I'll,
is.
I'll agree with
Everybody
that.
has this. It's a matter of tapping into it. And I know for many years I was tapped into it, but I stepped away and stepped out of it and didn't put God first in my life. And so, as a result, that's what ended me up being homeless 10 years ago, because I started making choices for myself and I knew better, right? And it's like, well, wrong. I had to learn that hard way. But that hard way taught me so that I could be right here, right now. So I don't
It wasn't
I
a
don't care
mistake,
about
Stephen.
that. That's a great thing in the end for us. And I know that you suffered through some adversity. You had a rough time, and I do would love to be able to speak about that if you feel comfortable with
Thought
that.
I Sure.
I,
I
I
thought
know
I suffered.
you're an
I
open
really
book,
did
really,
at the time. Back
but
then,
I also wanted to mention to the viewers, of course, I think what happened with Lauren and myself and the next impactor is that I said to myself, I want to be the next impactor. And I've said it. I mean, you could go back in my videos and see me saying this. And I am going to be one of the next impactors, just plain and simple, whether it's, on that show, if I can afford to have that time for that, I will. But the point is, we can all be influencers in our own way. And it's just a matter of finding that purpose. And so that's kind of what it's about too, as
you don't have
well.
to find it.
So I
You don't
saw
have to
that
find it. You don't
and
have
I
to
wanted
find
to be part of it. So
time
the
out,
law of attraction took place. Yes.
because I don't want anybody to take that with them. You do not have to find purpose.
Oh,
If you're here, it's with you, because you're not here on accident.
that's what I was, I guess, leading to is that it
Yeah, well,
happened because
right.
of law of attraction, right?
Well, my point in that, the reason I stopped right there, and let me just say this. Let me say this.
Sure.
Because see, you're past that point now. And that's the thing. A lot of us get past that point where we forget where we were. Somebody out there right now watching the replay
Yes.
may say, you know, go out looking. That's what you're looking for, love in all the wrong places. Right.
Yeah.
You go looking for something that it's never been anywhere else. Every place you are, there it is.
Yeah.
That, you know what I'm saying? I'm not kidding you. This whole thing called life is, we make it hard. We make it hard. We make it difficult, because the
Right.
thing about it is, first of all, look at it. There are no mistakes in the universe. Everything that
Hmm.
ever happened is a blessing. But when we have, well, so if that's true, Lauren, how is there trauma? Well, trauma is an entry point. It is where the blessing entered into the process of becoming a blessing. Things that I lived as a boy, I lived all those 22 foster homes. Did they feel like a blessing at the time? Absolutely not.
Right.
Does not negate the fact that because that happened, and I stood on a stage 5 years ago told that story for the very first time because I was tired of shaming myself over it. That turned into, which it already was. I just didn't know it and never would have known it had I not found the courage to trust God and speak it. Once I spoke it, it spoke it in itself and everything that comes with it into existence. It's a fact. And today, 20 million people or more by now. That was 6, 7 weeks ago. It hit 20 million. Have watched it, have been touched by it. That's not, and it's not even the views that matter to me, because God already
Yeah.
told me that the night before the gold test came out.
Yeah.
Watch the views. That's the equivalent.
You're you're referring to the Goalcast video, correct?
Yeah, because that's the story of the foster care where it was, oh, poor Loren, and and I did too back then. It was no picnic, trust me.
No, of course
It was
not.
no day in the park, but I would live every moment of that over again because of any segment of 5 minutes of every day of my life since I started doing what I'm doing. I would live it over 1,000 times for 5 minutes of any of the 5 minute increments that I've lived since I started speaking my truths, which means all of the time. Everything that's happened since then, I would, for 5 minutes of it, I would go back and live all of that trauma 1,000 times again. Because when you weigh it out, 5 minutes of this, as long as it's short of eternity, to me, it's worth it to go back and live those things because they are the reason I have a story. Every scar I tried to hide, well, first of all, what I was doing wrong was I was looking at it as something to be ashamed of, pulling my sleeves down, covering, don't look at me. Looking for validation, seeking validation that I didn't even need. And even when you got it, I was in People Magazine and on Oprah and Good Morning America and all these shows in
Yes.
1988. It didn't stop me from having a 14-year drug addiction 3 years down the road. Four more suicide attempts after that moment in the sun, that 15 minutes that Andy Warhol tells us about of fame. It wasn't about that. That happened to so that I would have a reference point today that you were always chosen. All that was waiting was for you to choose in return, to accept the challenge, to say, I will do this and I will do it. So help me God. Because that's the only way I can do it. It's
That's
the only way
beautiful.
right.
That's beautiful, Lauren, because that is the truth. And it's not easy to get there. And sometimes it takes a lot of time, and that's where patience really comes in. But I think that the key point is that we were born into that anyway. God let us do that
Birthrights.
for a reason.
We have birthrights. All
Yeah.
of us. All of
Yeah.
us. Everything you lived through gave you the voice of authority. Speak on it. You didn't learn it in a book. You didn't buy it on eBay. It wasn't gifted or willed to you from someone else. You can only be the authority on something that you have lived through. And so all those decades that I was attracting the wrong people to the front row seats of my life, you know what I was getting as far as great information and the mentoring I was getting was this. When I'd speak my story, because I wanted to understand why me, why this, all those things, because I was in a pity party then, but they were there too. So you know what I mean?
Thanks for saying that.
The thing was, they were people, those are the people telling me, because the law of attraction is real.
It
Um,
is.
Lauren, get over it. You'll find a way around it. Oh, one day you'll get from underneath this. None of that ever happened. My life did not begin changing until I listened to my first mind, which is attached to the creator. And he said, Lauren, the only way is to go through it. Because when you don't go through it, the opportunity is now a wall of opportunity. What do you do to
Mhm.
walls? You get around them, you dig under them, you crawl over them. You don't walk through a wall. You walk through a door. You look through a window. And what are opportunities known as? Doors of opportunity, windows
Mhm.
of opportunity. Have you ever heard of a wall of opportunity? No. So when you start putting it all together, you're like, well, wait a minute. And you put all these things together, you see that God and life and the universe and nature and everything around us has been leaving clues inside of every room of experience. If I choose to only take the trauma, then that's all I'm going to have wherever I get and I unpack it. But if you go back, that's why we have one form of that is accessible to all without it being a gift of the spirit, as far as clairvoyance and things like that, and
Yeah.
empaths. Just to go backwards, we all have the gift of remembering. And people think it means, oh yeah, I remember her. She lived down on the corner of whatever. No. Remembering, true remembering, which will change your life forever. It's just like this highlighter. If I lose the cap and I just leave this laying out, what good will this be tomorrow at this time? It'll be dry and useless. But I can find this tomorrow, put it back on, and the next time I go to use it, it's going to work because I have remembered it to its original state. And when anything is trauma or any experience, you cannot be afraid to return to the scene of the proverbial crime. Because the reason people are afraid is because they think the only thing waiting for them when they go back is more trauma. No, in there is every blessing. Blessings nest like those eggs. That one egg fits into another egg, or a box that fits into another box, another box. Blessings nest. So one blessing, when you find one blessing and you say, I'm coming back, I'm remembering to this moment to take this one blessing. I forgot to take it time because I was all caught up in my feelings, blaming everybody, this, that, and the other. Woe is me. I came back through the art and the gift of remembering, and I'm here and I see you blessing over there in the corner. I take it with me, and then when I get it where I'm going, I open it up and there's 20,000 others inside of that one. It takes one blessing. One blessing can cover up, can erase, can forgive, can remove all of the negative of the greatest trauma, because traumas are never great. We make them great.
Yes.
We make them great. They're not great when they get here. We make them great by carrying them and elevating them as we elevate.
Well,
So go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I mean, I have a couple things going, lots of things are going through my brain, but a couple of things that we all have these seeds of greatness. That's what I say. And it tells us in the Bible that this is the truth, that we have these seeds, that we need to nurture them, that we do, just like you said, have to experience those difficult times to be able to strengthen and grow. But then that's a choice. That's the opportunity, either seizing the opportunity or walking away from it, like you were talking earlier.
That's
And so when we step into our fears, I found, at least for myself, when I stepped into my fear, I was able to learn and I was able to grow and I was able to move forward in a positive manner as a result of that, because I was willing to take that risk. And if I
right.
didn't risk it, I'd have never
Good
learned.
point. That's a good point, Stephen. Because success requires risk.
It
It
does.
truly does. And the thing about it is, risk is good.
Yes.
I'm right now. When I'm on hiatus, I'm on hiatus right until the 4th of the year. And sometimes we go to Mexico. Of course, we're not this year. No,
Okay.
ma'am.
Yeah.
So, but when people take vacations, or when I take a hiatus or vacation or whatever, and I don't call it vacation because I know that'll make me think just lay down and do nothing.
A
It's a
staycation.
right. It is a staycation, but you know what? It is even more than that.
But
Right now, until I go back to work on the 4th,
yes.
bring whatever forth that I've been granted a contract through God to do. The covenant that we make. Right now, we're in negotiation stages where I'm at
Yeah.
that point where I can look back over the year and I can be grateful. Wow, I didn't see this coming, and man, look what you did. And man, I still don't know what I did to deserve that, but I'm so grateful, grateful, grateful. And then I say, let's talk about what's next. Here's what I really feel I need to do next. And I don't say want, I always bring it to God in need, because want
Hmm.
comes with a wish list, need comes with a plan. And so when
Right.
I say need, he perks up and he leans in. Let me hear what you got. And I'll say, here's the deal. I need to do da 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 because I need to reach more people. And he just set me down about this. I had a download the other day where he goes, well, first of all, let's just get this off the table. Don't worry so much about reaching people, because the moment I gave you access to one of mine, I granted you access to all of mine.
Yes.
It is not, I am the Julie McCoy. God said this to me. I am the
Yeah.
Julie McCoy of this love boat. All the scheduling. You don't have to worry about the people booking. All you have to do is create this ship big enough for them to ride on, the door big enough for generations to walk through long after you're gone. Don't leave a door that looks like a razor blade sliver where, it has to be flat man to get through. You want
Yeah.
to build through all the things you've experienced, all the promises that are given to us. You build a door big enough for
Yeah.
history, for generations to walk through and leave the booking of the passengers what is greater than yourself. Boy, let me tell you something. You talk about a moment to exhale. Whitney Houston was playing all through my world that day. The
Right.
soundtrack to Waiting to Exhale. Because I exhaled. Wow.
Well,
You know,
I know that you're working on legacy, and that's one of the things that caught my
uh,
attention.
no, I'm
It
not.
is
No,
about creating.
I'm not working on legacy. I'm working within
You
it.
are the legacy,
No,
though.
we're working within legacy because every
Oh,
breath
within
you take
legacy.
writes another syllable to your legacy story. So I'm not, we a lot of us spend time trying to find something we've already gotten. Because think
Oh,
about it, Stephen. Think about this
good
one.
point.
Are you ready? Think about
Sure.
this. I'll get ready. This is a good one here. Get ready. Throw the
Okay.
countdown on you. When people say, if you were to say tomorrow, I want to be the 49th president or whatever, somebody's gonna say, you know what the odds are of somebody like you, Stephen R. Smith, becoming, and you know what? And people listen to that stuff. I've seen commercials for diabetes and Tony Braxton. The odds of having an autistic child. Everybody goes by the odds. But you know what? The greatest odds to man is 1 in 400 quadrillion. And that is what it is that's the odds we each beat in order to be living and breathing. In other words, born.
Yes.
We've already, before we formed a thought, before we've spoken a word, we have already beaten the greatest odds known to man. So in my mind now, and it wasn't always there, trust me, I can't claim it. God proved. He said, listen, quit trying to beat the odds. Once you drew a breath, it is now your opportunity, your choice or not, to create the odds. Show someone what can be. Show them what is possible. And what is that? That's where people see stars and they stargaze. That's why people see legacy, Mother Teresa, Martin Luther King, and they stargaze. Let me tell you something. They're not there as examples for us to stargaze. They're there to provide examples of how to trailblaze.
Yes.
Everything they did, we can do. If we build a door big enough for
Believe
generations to
that's
walk through, like we're still walking through.
Ecclesiastes.
We're walking through Mozart's door. We're walking through Gandhi's door. We're walking through Adam and Eve's door. We're walking through anybody whose story we still know and tell. They built, because why are we talking about them? Because they built a door big enough for that story to keep moving through for however long
See,
it's been.
thanks for correcting me on that because it's more like that we are living the legacy that already was and that we're fulfilling that legacy. That's why I feel like I'm a servant.
Mm,
And I know that God tells us that we are to be servants to our community because that's our job. And
we're
I think that the
everything
communities need
outside
it
of us.
so much these days.
You're a servant. We're a servant, Stephen, to everything outside of us. Nature,
Yes.
respect it, take care of it, nourish it. Anything that has a life force is there because life. You know how I found my husband and knew in the first day? After being alone all my life except for a 7-month relationship at the age of 22. The rest of that, I was completely alone. Let me tell you how it started.
Okay.
In this, I'm going to turn the camera. See that plant over there? That's one of four. God told me one day when I was at dinner 7 years ago at some people's house, living in a shelter, no car. All my clothes were bartered from the Goodwill. I would go and work them off. I was fresh out of incarceration, still on parole. All these things were happening. And I went to this dinner, and God said to me while I was sitting at the table, the woman said, you see this plant? It's 150 years old. And it's to survive from clippings because when you give somebody something that has life in it, it provides life to them. Lauren,
Mhm.
why would you honor us and take a piece of my great grandmother's clipping home with you? That thing is, I mean, just all done, took over the whole foyer of our house. All three of them are just flourishing. But God said, Lauren, take this plant, root them in water, put them in dirt, nourish them. because then I graduated from that to a
Yes.
goldfish. I
Yes.
graduated from goldfish to Lucy and Ethel, who are in this house tonight.
I
And from
love
Lucy
it.
and Ethel, I found my soulmate. I found my everything.
That's
Because
awesome.
life force, life force, anything that I had to take care of took care of me. Even that plant, they still are, you
Well,
know?
that's what I was taught when I came out of recovery or through recovery too. It's like don't get into relationships, but if you can take care of a plant and you can keep it alive for a
That's
year,
right.
then you did okay, now you should progress. And it's like, right.
Right.
Because we're just learning at that point to just start taking care of ourselves, let
Mhm,
alone anything else.
mhm,
I'm
mhm.
so proud of you, though. I mean,
Oh, thank you, Stephen.
you beat the odds, and that's where the true story is that you didn't let the odds beat you. You made that choice and then stepped into that and stepped into just your
Because once
grand
we were born, we had already beat the only odds that matter.
yeah, and there
You
you
got
go.
you got here. It
Yeah,
wasn't by accident. It
that's
wasn't by
right.
luck. It wasn't arbitrary. You fought your way through hundreds of thousands of other swimmers, and you got to the egg first, and you became a soul.
Yes. That's I'm so glad that you came on the show tonight. I just love your wisdom and your spirit and
Mm,
that's why I know that we are connected and because it is about that intention. It's about that connectiveness, and I believe that, of course, we're all connected, every single person, and including
everyone.
that nature. And that's where the nature thing started because that was the grounding, that was the connection to the oneness of all of it. Um, and you talk about age. It's like I love trees, right? Because you can look at a tree that's 50, 100, couple hundred, 2, 3, 400 years old. Boy, have they seen a lot of stuff that they're sitting in that park, particularly down the street from me here. Have they seen a lot of people come through there? They've seen a lot of stuff there wise. I love it. Um, I would like for you to maybe share with the viewers, though. I mean, you you overcame these obstacles of a drug addiction, having grown up
Mm,
as a foster child,
mm,
22 foster homes. It's like,
mm.
wow, you beat the drug addiction. What would you recommend? Because I know that you hit on it earlier about the pity party, feeling sorry for yourself. What would you tell the viewers that don't feel worthy? What
Hmm.
advice would you give them?
You know, that's a great question, Steve. That's a great question. I don't feel worthy.
That don't feel worthy because I know that I did not feel worthy. That's why I was busy trying to drink myself to death.
Right. And the thing about it is, even when you're on the other side, that can still be there, just as prominent, all up in your face. Where do you think you're going? Every time you take a step somewhere, here's jumping in front of you. Hey, where you going? Where you going? Why? Get out of my way. And it wasn't. It had so many faces and different accents and brogues and smell different scents and smell like a woman one minute, smell like a man the next, smell like a dog one time. And the thing about it is, that's what falsehoods do. They're shapeshifters. They always will change to keep you guessing. Because see, guessing, where do you hear guessing? Second guessing. The first mind, something told me not to. If I'd have just listened to my first mind, I knew I shouldn't have. First mind, attached directly to the creator.
Yeah.
Everything from 2 to 200 quadrillion after is second guessing. Because if you didn't follow what you were led, what you heard and felt, because the thing is, we have internal, that's our GPS. Think about it. All the IN words: instinct, intuition, insight, internal, introspective. All of the things that speak to the most hallowed, sacred, fertile soil is inside. And I never abused drugs. I had this conversation the other day with somebody, and God gave
Mhm.
me a download a couple weeks ago, and I'm sticking to it. Where I used to kind of feel guilty when I said, hi, my name is Loren. And if I was at a meeting, in there or something. And
Mhm.
I'm cross addicted. I ain't shit. I ain't none of that. I'm just telling you, I'm not. You know what? I never was addicted to drugs. God just showed that to me a couple weeks ago, and I was like,
Ah,
"Oh, damn, for real." He said, "If you wouldn't have realized it, you sure would have been damn." Let me tell you what it is, Lauren. You know what I was addicted to? I wasn't addicted to drugs. I was addicted to abusing the invitation. Because just like all those other IN words, the only way something ever, a person, an idea, a mindset, a drug, anything that found its way, good, bad, or indifferent, inside of me, only got there through invitation. Every time I took a drug, I invited it in. Come on, I
right.
chose it.
Yes.
And it wasn't until I revoked that invitation that it left. So I wasn't addicted to drugs. I was addicted to the abuse of the invitation. The same thing,
Very
because
good.
then if you don't see it like that, you think you gotta be drugs, you gotta be addiction to sex, you got an addiction to food, everything's an addiction. Addiction to Netflix, and you got all these mountains when really you got one. Quit abusing the damn invitation. If something isn't, when you invite it in, it come in with muddy feet on your white carpet of purpose, and it's not willing to take its shoes off or wash its stanky ass feet, you don't come up in here no more. I don't care where you go, but you got to go somewhere else. You do that, you make that choice every time you have that choice. Watch what happens within your purposeful life, the purpose driven life.
The purpose-driven life,
Mm,
exactly.
mm.
Yeah, I've read that book
Oh,
a few
come on.
times. I
I'm
try
gonna
and
come
live
on
that
now.
book too, by the way. Um, the invitation. I love how you said that.
That's right.
Um,
The guy that's slapping a woman
now
silly every day and she's staying is because she keeps inviting it back. That
true.
person that makes you feel like crap, and every time you loan them some money, you don't hear from them until they need some more and they got an excuse and you give it to them because you invited them. Change your number. Don't answer the phone. Get caller ID. Whatever you do, you need to do something to send a message that that invitation no longer is on the table.
That's such great advice, Lauren. Gosh, wow, thanks.
You think
I tell you, this an hour is like blazing past us. This is so awesome.
that's the promise
Um,
being fulfilled where two or more come together. That's the promise. See?
I want you to share. You got a lot. You got a show. You got a couple shows. You're on E360
Man,
as a TV host. Please share that with us. I've got some information. We'll put that in the notes.
look, Stephen, I'm gonna say this right now.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I have that stuff, but I don't believe that's why I'm here tonight.
Apparently
I'm
not.
here for you. I'm here for you because I'm gonna tell you something. I'm
Yes.
delivering. This is coming through me. It's not coming from me. This is for you.
Okay.
I just want you to know that you have made such strides. You've come such a long, 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 long way, and and I know right around that corner, known as the future, is something so wonderful waiting for you that if you saw it before you were ready, it has the power of literally scaring us to death. That's how wonderful it is. That's a hard concept to wrap a mind around. But I'm telling you, I'm very proud of you and what you're doing and how I've seen you just change and just really keep moving. If it's a person, and fine, bye Felicia, to the left, and you keep moving through it. And all I want you to know is this: keep doing a little bit of something will always be better than a whole lot of nothing. And in this world today, there's a lot of people offering 0-calorie content. It's the equivalent of a plate coming out of a kitchen that looks, smells, tastes, feels like styrofoam. Nothing nourishing about it. But I can't say that about you.
Huh.
So I'm just saying, I don't even need to promote my shows. The blessing is in the testimony. God doing what he's doing, where he's doing it, and who he's doing it with. But tonight, I'm here on hiatus. I'm not working, but this isn't work. It's not, that's another thing. When you
Yeah.
learn how not to network, that's man's way. That's a bag full of 3,000 cards I keep on the floor back here. This is networking. This bag and all of this never profited me one penny. I spent a lot, no great relationships,
Yeah.
but that's networking. When we're doing what we're doing, like you're doing, and I'm doing, and a lot of you out there watching right now, and will watch the replay are doing,
Yeah.
we're not networking. We're working our nets like we were
Yeah.
instructed to do. Be a fisher of men.
We are.
Be a fisher of men. And I'm grateful for you. I've seen you evolve and I see you evolving. And every time I see you when one wins, we all win. So I'm just grateful. So I don't even want it to be about me tonight.
Okay.
If somebody wants to find me, they can find me through you.
Absolutely. We love you. He's got bathrobe moments. That's why, folks, I'm wearing this bathrobe. That is a tribute
Yay.
to Loren.
Cheers.
Okay. He's so awesome.
Mhm.
What wise words that you shared with us this evening. Just absolutely over the top. Thank you so very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
There is hope. Lauren is an example of how you can have a difficult and challenged situations, opportunities. That's what this is called. Challenge provides opportunities. And then
Amen.
you can take those opportunities, open that door, like Lauren said, and make something out of it great. I mean, all you're doing is making something that was already there. I think that that's a great point because it is. We just need to nurture those seeds of greatness that we have
Amen.
within us. You know, we're coming up on Christmas here. It's 2 days away. It's a
Hey,
super special time for me too, as well. I love this time of year.
me too.
Uh, it is about honoring, for me, it's about honoring God, honoring Jesus Christ, the birth of Him that gave me the opportunity to have this role model to be able to try and pattern my life after. And every day I just try and get more like that. And and I grow and I learn from people like Lauren.
Aw,
And
thank
the
you.
viewers, thank you so very much. I really appreciate you, Lauren.
I
Um,
appreciate you. Can I say one thing to them in
yes, you can
closing?
give us their final,
My
give us
little
some
Jerry
closing
Springer
wisdom.
final thought. I
Yeah,
want
do
you
that.
guys to take this with you. It's the most important thing. If you forget everything you've heard here tonight, please don't forget this. Don't be afraid. Don't be ashamed. Don't be embarrassed. Don't hide it under a bushel. No, I am going to let it shine. Sing that within your spirit every moment of every day, because every one of your scars, trust me, I'm telling you the truth. Every one of them. Number one, it is automatic proof of healing. You couldn't have a scar if a wound hadn't healed. And when you really realize that and you keep staring at that scar, guess what's going to happen? Through the third eye of purpose, you're going to look at that scar, and underneath it, you're going to see your heart. And in that heart lies within it the heartbeat of a story. And it's only waiting for you to give it permission. Take that with you today, tomorrow, into 2021 and beyond. Whatever your purpose is in this world, I guarantee you, you will find it, you will fulfill it, and you will change the lives of millions of people without even knowing it. And that's when it's the best.
Awesome.
God bless you. Have a wonderful holiday.
God
All of you.
bless
Merry
everybody.
Christmas.
Thank you. Thank you so very much, Lauren.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
We
Merry
appreciate you.
Christmas,
God
Chica.
bless you. You are a blessing to the community and you're a
Oh, thank
blessing
you.
in my life. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Stephen.
Take care,
Thanks.
everybody. We'll see y'all soon.
Bye. Bye, everyone.